Well, moving on now, former President Trump making a push to court voters outside of the Republican Party 2 days after his rally in the deep blue Bronx. He made his pitch Saturday to the Libertarian Party's national convention in Washington.
Combine with us in a partnership. We're asking that of the Libertarians. We must work together. Combine with us. You have to combine with us. Vote for me, because the Libertarians want to vote for me, and most of them will. And it's very important, because we have to get rid of the worst president in history, and together we will.
Politico Playbook calling it Trump's everything, everywhere, all at once strategy. But is it working? Here to weigh in, Max Keelen, principal of the Vogel Group, and Kaivan Shroff, the Institute for Education's senior advisor. Matt, I want to start with you. And the former president saying that he's going to get the majority of the Libertarian vote. You know, I was over at their convention. They've got their strong convictions, and I don't necessarily know if the former president necessarily fits with all of them. What do you take?
Well, I think just the fact that he was there competing for those votes shows he's playing offense. And if you look across the electoral map, really there's not a state where Joe Biden isn't playing defense on the top toss-up states. So Donald Trump's going into deep blue territory in the Bronx. He's out to Minnesota this past week, or this upcoming week. And he's going to the Libertarian Convention, trying to win votes, trying to play offense. In a campaign, when you're playing offense, you're winning. When you're playing defense, you're losing. Joe Biden plays defense every day.
Kevin, what about that? You know, you had the former president in the Bronx, wasn't exactly going to a Yankee game there. He held a rally. And look, it's New York. And the Siena College poll shows he's still down 9 percentage points there. But that is a major change from losing the state by 22 less than 4 years ago. What's your take?
Well, if my colleague means he's playing offense by he's going and offending people, he certainly did that at the Libertarian Convention, you know, calling them out for only getting 3% of the vote, getting booed and heckled, and ultimately not even seeking the nomination from them. Same in the Bronx, you know, there were protesters there. Those that did show up, it wasn't many people, but some are reporting that they weren't even from the area. Obviously, this is a pretty tight shot we're looking at, but there weren't that many people that showed up. So it doesn't seem like it's working. And then with people that are persuadable, like swing voters in Wisconsin, they don't like what Trump has done, blowing up the bipartisan border deal. So I think everything, everywhere, all at once works, but only if you're likable and telling people what they want to hear and what you'll do for them.
So we've seen in polling, Matt, a real erosion among the base of what the Biden coalition that got him elected back in 2020. But we've also seen some of the erosion on the Republican side in the suburbs. What about that? And can the former president win back the suburbs, or is that too far gone?
No, absolutely. He's going to compete for all those votes, and he's going to compete in new places. And I'll tell you why. In 2020, Joe Biden was hiding in the basement, and we were told that he was going to be a bipartisan consensus builder of a president. And at the end of the day, after 4 years, unfortunately for him and his side, every single issue set, he is underwater because his presidency has been a failure. People remember it. People remember Donald Trump's presidency. When you lay those two side by side overwhelmingly in the suburbs, in the inner cities, wherever you go in this country, people choose Donald Trump's presidency over Joe Biden's. And that's the albatross around their neck going into the general election campaign. And they're not going to be able to remove it because people are not stupid. They do think the American people are stupid. They're going to forget that they're in misery under Joe Biden. And unfortunately, Donald Trump is going to remind them of that constantly.
And Kaivan, to you, you know, polls really haven't been great in the battleground states. How does the president reverse that?
I mean, they haven't been great in that they haven't been accurate. But when we talk about the suburbs, I think it's important to note, you know, I think abortion is such a winning issue for Democrats. And we've seen that over and over again. But you want to talk about a contrast and a side by side. We just saw the president speak 10 minutes ago. He certainly wasn't in the basement. Compare that to Trump calling our fallen soldiers suckers and losers and going after Nikki Haley's husband. I mean, people will remember absolutely the sort of chaos and hate that he brought from the Oval Office. So I do think suburban voters don't have a huge appetite for all that vitriol.
Oh, got to leave it there. Matt Keelen, Kaivan Shroff, thanks for joining us this morning. Much appreciated.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.